Hi everyone, let's dive into the 10 historical events that might not seem real. 1. The Black Death. Picture a world full of fear, where death moved quickly through the cobblestone streets. The year is 1346, and a terrible sickness has come to Europe. Brought by rats on merchant ships, the bubonic plague, or the Black Death, spread very fast. Whole villages were wiped out, families gone, their homes left empty. By the time the Black Death was over, it had killed about 25 million people, nearly a third of Europe's population. 2. The Salem Witch. In the winter of 1692, the small Puritan town of Salem, Massachusetts, was taken over by fear and superstition. It started with a group of young girls acting very strangely, shaking and screaming as if possessed. People began accusing others of being witches, pointing fingers at those who were different or lived alone. By the end of the trials, 20 people had been killed, showing the dangers of fear and ignorance. 1. The Spanish Inquisition. For over 300 years, Spain was covered by a dark cloud of religious persecution. This was known as the Spanish Inquisition. Started in 1478, its main goal was to get rid of heresy and keep Catholic beliefs. Suspected heretics, often accused with little proof, faced terrible torture. Thousands were burned at the stake, their cries still remembered today as a warning of the dangers of extreme religious beliefs. 1. The Holodomor. In the 1930s, a man-made famine caused by Joseph Stalin's Soviet government hit Ukraine, the breadbasket of Europe. Due to a harsh policy of collectivization and grain-taking, the holodomor, meaning to kill by hunger, aimed to crush Ukrainian nationalism. Millions of Ukrainians stripped of their land and food were left to starve. Children with swollen bellies, their small bodies weakened by hunger, became a common sight. The world watched in horror as a once-rich land turned into a graveyard. A chilling sign of the horrors of totalitarian governments. 1. The Rwandan genocide. For 100 days in 1994, the small country of Rwanda in East Africa was filled with terrible violence. Years of tension between the Hutu and Tutsi groups led to a campaign of hate and violence. Neighbors attacked neighbors, friends attacked friends, as Hutu militias with machetes caused fear and death. About 800,000 Tutsis and moderate Hutus were killed, and their bodies were left in the streets. The Rwandan genocide is a sad reminder of how quickly hate can destroy a country. 1. The Jonestown Massacre. Deep in the jungles of Guyana, a faraway place called Jonestown became the scene of a very sad and strange event. Jim Jones, a charming but very troubled cult leader, controlled his followers, promising them a perfect life. But Jones's perfect place was built on fear, lies, and total control. On November 18, 1978, Jones told his followers to kill themselves by drinking poison-laced Flavor Aid. Over 900 people, including more than 300 children, died that day. A sad reminder of the dangers of following someone blindly. 1. The Nanking Massacre. In the winter of 1937, the Chinese city of Nanking faced terrible events. The Japanese army came into the city. For 6 weeks they did many violent things, making a time of fear that is remembered in history. Japanese soldiers, driven by nationalism and racial hatred, attacked the people of Nanking. Men, women, and children were raped, tortured, and killed. The number of deaths is not clear, but historians think that up to 300,000 Chinese civilians died during the Nanking Massacre. 1. The Chernobyl disaster. At 1:23 a.m. on April 26, 1986, a nuclear reactor at the Chernobyl power plant in Soviet Ukraine exploded. It sent radioactive material into the air. The explosion happened because of design problems and human mistakes. It released a dangerous, invisible enemy. Firefighters, not knowing the danger, rushed to stop the fire. Their bravery came at a high cost. The Chernobyl disaster made people leave Pripyat, a nearby city that is still empty today. The health effects of the disaster are still felt today, showing the dangerous power of nuclear energy. 1. The Trail of Tears. The year is 1838. In the southeastern United States, a sad event is happening. A forced move called the Trail of Tears. Because of the Indian Removal Act, signed by President Andrew Jackson, thousands of Native Americans were made to leave their homes. They were forced to walk thousands of miles west to new land. The trip was full of problems, sickness, and death, which killed many Native Americans. The Trail of Tears is a strong reminder of the wrongs done to Native Americans and their lasting pain. 1. The My Lai Massacre. On March 16, 1968, during the Vietnam War, a small village called My Lai became known for one of the worst events in American military history. A group of U.S. Army soldiers, angry and upset by their losses, went into My Lai, thinking it was a Viet Cong base. What happened next was a terrible killing of unarmed people. Men, women, and children were shot without mercy, their bodies left in the open. The My Lai massacre was first hidden by the U.S. government, but the truth came out and shocked the world. It made people very angry and increased anti-war feelings. It is a scary reminder of the bad things that can happen in war, and why we need to hold people responsible. Follow for more such content.